British acting royalty Miriam Margoyles, I should say, has brought us so much joy over the years through her wonderful characters, and now Australia is returning the favour.
Please give a very warm welcome to Miriam Margoyles.
6 years ago, after coming here for, nearly 40 years.
And the youngsters today may recognise her as Professor Sprout from Harry Potter. We can now call her our own.
I finally became an Australian citizen.
It was a day of supreme happiness, of real joy.
But it also made me realise how little I know about the place I can now call home. So, this 78-year-old Jewish lesbian is embarking on a 10,000-kilometre, 2-month journey to explore what it means to be an Australian today.
Isn't she fabulous? It's the adventure of a lifetime, and I was lucky enough to speak to Miriam a little earlier this morning to hear all about it. Good morning to you, Miriam.
Hello, lovely to be with you.
Miriam, how are you coping there in isolation? You've been there for a while now. You're away from your partner, Heather, who's here in Australia. How are you coping?
I am away from her, but she's not in Australia. She's working in Amsterdam. But it might as well be Australia because we're all locked down. And I miss her terribly. You know, like everybody else, I want a hug. I want to feel contact, but we can't. We're just not allowed to at the moment.
Yes, it is a tough time. Let's get on to this TV show, though, because this road trip you take, I mean, I watched the first episode on the weekend and I was laughing and I was crying. What made you decide to undergo this journey?
When I became an Australian, I thought it was easy. I thought I knew everything, you know, because I'm a bit of an idiot. And I suddenly thought, you know, I don't know Australia. And I love an Australian, and I have done for 53 years, but I wanted to know the Australia that I don't know. And so when I was asked if I'd like to do a travel program around Australia, I thought, I want more than that, because I know how beautiful it is, but I don't know about the different worlds there are in Australia. And this program allowed me to find them.
And while it is in heart a basic travel documentary, and you look at the beauties of our country, which I know you love, you also look at it from an immigrant's sort of point of view. And you'd go to this one country town where people are working there because no one else wants to work. Tell me a bit about that.
Isn't it a charming story? I just fell in love with the whole town. That's Neil in Victoria. And they were just so lovely and welcoming and warm. And they realise that the influx of people there, they're the Karan people, they have made the town prosperous again. And if everybody opens up a bit and isn't afraid of the other, it can work. That's how Australia was built, I think. But I just felt that there were elements around, not in Neil, but in other places, that were a little bit tough to deal with.
How do you mean tough to deal with?
I'm on the left politically, you know that, and I think there are some very harsh elements politically in the country that turn their backs on people, and I don't like that. I want everybody to get along, and they don't always. And some people say that I'm a divisive person and I make people split up a bit, and I don't want to do that. That's not what I intend. I do say what I think, and that may get people riled up a bit. I'd say it does, I know. But you've got to tell the truth as you see it.
Let's just touch on that controversy for a second, Miriam, because, you know, I didn't quite understand. I'd seen all the headlines last week, all of us had, and then I watched the show, and you were just looking at it from a certain point of view. You were being honest, which you're allowed to be. You love this country. You want to be honest about it, but you've also seen this different side of it. So tell me what you thought this controversy was about.
Yes, I think people just like to make trouble, and newspapers have got to sell, and they think if they say something catastrophic, people are going to buy the paper. I was quoted as saying that I think Australia is greedy and brutal. Well, that's just not what I said. I think some Australians are greedy and brutal, and particularly I think the architecture is awful in places like Surfers Paradise. I don't like Surfers Paradise, some people do. I think when you build buildings as high as they are there, and they make shadows on the beach so that they take the sun away, that to me is horrible. and not what Australia should be like. But other parts of it are absolutely glorious. And I learnt so much on that trip. That was the thing for me. I learnt about this country. And I'm willing to learn. But people get very antsy very quickly. And I'm not going to change. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut because that's not who I am.
And that is why we love you, Miriam. So what can we expect from the next episode?
I think you're going to enjoy this. This is me discovering First Nation people, going down into the lands, meeting the storytellers, and meeting some quite tough people, actually. Some of the First Nation people didn't take to me at all, and who can blame them? I also met hard drinkers, and I met a wonderful woman who drives a truck. Heather, her name is, same as my girlfriend, but I didn't sleep with Heather. And she's just wonderful. And it was a bit of a job to get up into the truck because, you know, these big 8-wheelers or 15-wheelers, I think they are, they're hard to climb into. But she does trips all hundreds and hundreds of miles every day. And I learnt what life was like for her. So I saw the toughness of people, but also the heart they have. And some of the very toughest men I met actually crumpled when their emotions were allowed to get out. And that's what I like to see. I want to see the vulnerability of people because that's when you love them.
Well, Miriam, I'm proud to call you an Australian just like the rest of us. And you can watch Miriam Margoyles' Almost Australian Tuesday nights at 8:30 on the ABC. Miriam, take care. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much for having me here.